Power is not always found in the light. Often, it waits buried in the corners of our soul that we are too afraid to face. Especially in the realm of sexual energy, the most potent form of inner fire, power is often trapped behind shame, guilt, fear, and unresolved trauma. These shadows, internal demons we avoid, hold the keys to our highest vitality. But when you dare to confront these shadows, something remarkable happens. You don't just get clarity, you reclaim power. Every time I looked a fear in the eye, every time I stood still and faced lust, addiction, rejection, or trauma, I didn't just survive. I evolved. I grew stronger. I got my power back. This is a story of how confronting every shadow returned to me the most sacred gift I have been wasting for years. My sexual energy, the essence of my masculinity, creativity, drive, and dominance. Let this be your guide and mirror. The first shadow I had to face was lust that ruled me. Like many men, I grew up in a culture where instant gratification was normalized, porn, hookups, meaningless indulgence. I thought I was free, but I was a slave. Each time I gave into that craving, it felt like I was letting go of a part of myself. I couldn't explain it at first, but deep down, I knew I was losing something sacred. My confidence dropped. My focus scattered. I couldn't hold my presence in a room. My masculine energy was leaking. It wasn't just lust. It was a shadow of needing validation, the fear of being alone, the hunger for intimacy without the courage to create real connection. Facing this meant cutting off the drug. No fap, semen retention, silence. Days turned to weeks, and the withdrawal kicked in. But in that pain, I faced a raw, unfiltered core of myself. And from the ashes of lust, I found clarity. I found control. That first shadow gave me back the power of restraint, the ability to own my desire, not be owned by it. Beneath lust was another layer. Shame. Shame around my desires. Shame about how I had used sex for escape instead of growth. Shame about what I had done when no one was watching. Shame is a toxic emotion. It binds your energy, silences your voice, and crushes your confidence. It keeps your sexual energy in a cage, locked away because you don't believe you're worthy of it. I had to sit with my shame, not escape it, not distract myself. I journaled. I meditated. I revisited old memories, childhood experiences, and societal conditioning. And in that process, I saw that my shame wasn't really mine. It was given to me by a broken world, by confused adults, by corrupted media. I never consented to carry it, so I dropped it. And when I dropped the shame, I felt something move inside me. My energy rose. I felt my body vibrate with strange warmth, confidence, clarity, and quiet power. That day, I reclaimed the power of self-acceptance. Rejection is a deep wound for many men. The fear of being unwanted, unloved, or dismissed causes us to either chase constantly or shut down entirely. I used to base my worth on who desired me. A woman's yes or no would control how I felt about myself. That dependency drained my sexual energy because it made me small. My power wasn't mine. It was outsourced. I had to confront this shadow head-on. I started approaching rejection like a warrior walking into battle, not with violence, but with presence. Each no I got, I sat with. I felt it. I asked myself, why does this hurt so much? What story am I telling myself? Eventually, I found peace in rejection. I understood that rejection was redirection. I stopped seeing it as a judgment and began to see it as a sacred filter that aligned me with truth. In that shift, I regained the power of inner validation. I no longer needed approval to feel alive. I became magnetic, not because I chased, but because I radiated self-assurance. Addiction doesn't start in the body. It begins in the soul. The addiction to porn, to orgasm, to stimulation wasn't about pleasure. It was about avoidance. I realized that every time I reached a screen or the quick fix, I was running from something deeper. Loneliness, sadness, fear of failure. Facing the addiction meant cutting it off at the root. I didn't just quit, I replaced. I built routines. I worked out. I meditated. I started transmuting sexual urges into creation, writing, building a brand, investing in my body. As I moved from consumption to creation, my energy shifted. I no longer felt drained. I felt charged, like a battery plugged into a divine source. From a shadow of addiction, I reclaimed the power of focus. No more scatter. No more self-betrayal. Just pure drive. Many men carry wounds from feminine energy, absent mothers, manipulative lovers, toxic relationships. These wounds distort our connection to the feminine within and without. They also damage our ability to trust and open our hearts. I carried that resentment. I viewed women through the lens of pain. I saw vulnerability as weakness and love as a risk not worth taking. But that made me cold, numb, disconnected from my own depth. Facing this shadow was not easy. I had to forgive. I had to mourn. I had to open my heart again, not for anyone else, but to restore the balance inside me. When I began to respect the feminine, without needing control or conquer it, I found peace. I found the power of integration, the balance of yin and yang, masculine and feminine, presence and feeling. My sexual energy no longer exploded outward in chaos. It began to flow upward, inward, and outward in conscious alignment. Modern society often shames masculinity. It confuses dominance with toxicity. It tells men to soften but offers no rites of passage into healthy strength. I was taught to suppress my aggression, to be nice, to people please, but this created a false self. I smiled when I wanted to scream. I folded when I wanted to stand firm, and that buried my power under layers of politeness. Facing this shadow meant reclaiming raw masculine energy, not violence, not arrogance, but presence, purpose, and protection. I took up space again. I said no. I walked with a straight back. I spoke with certainty. I looked people in the eye. And with every bold step, I got my energy back. Sexual energy is not just about sex. It's about power. It's about holding your frame in a chaotic world. I rose. I roared. And I remembered, I am a man, and I am not ashamed. There was a time I couldn't speak my truth. I was afraid of judgment, afraid of being misunderstood. So I stayed quiet, nice, and agreeable. But inside, my soul screamed. Silence is a shadow when it's rooted in fear. And when you silence your truth, you silence your energy. I had to confront the fear of being fully seen and heard. I began to speak, first softly, then clearly, then boldly. I shared my journey, my struggles, my desires, my boundaries. And something shifted. My throat opened, my spine straightened. My energy flowed freely from my core to my voice. I had found the power of expression. Your sexual energy is linked to your voice. When you hide, you shrink. But when you speak your truth, you become undeniable. Semen retention is a lonely path. You walk against the tide. You lose friends. You're misunderstood. And the shadow of loneliness begins to creep in. I had to face it. I had to sit in the solitude without distraction. No women, no parties, no noise. And in that silence, I met myself. I saw who I really was without performance. I connected to my core. I discovered the power of solitude, a deep spiritual strength that no one can give or take away. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Loneliness transformed into sovereignty. And in that sovereignty, my sexual energy became sacred. Not something to waste, but something to wield with purpose. The world is full of distractions designed to steal your energy: advertising, pornography, social media, and fake pleasure. Once I saw this, I stopped being a victim. I became a warrior. I guarded my mind. I filtered my inputs. I turned my phone into a tool, not a toy. I surrounded myself with kings, not clowns. The shadow of the world no longer had power over me. I walked through it untouched. My energy stayed intact. I had reclaimed the power of discernment, the ability to choose where my energy goes, what I engage with, and who I become. Every shadow was a gift. Sexual energy is your life force. It is not just for pleasure. It's for purpose. It fuels your vision, your mission, your creativity, and your masculine power. But to access its full potential, you must walk through fire. You must confront every shadow. And every shadow you face gives you something back. Lust gives you discipline. Shame gives you self-love. Rejection gives you validation. Addiction gives you focus. Feminine wounds give you balance. Silence gives you voice. Weakness gives you strength. Loneliness gives you sovereignty. The world gives you clarity. Every shadow I confronted gave me back a piece of my power. And now I stand whole, masculine, magnetic, unshakable, because I no longer run. I face everything, and I reclaim everything. Now it's your turn. Don't fear the shadow. Embrace it. That's where your crown is hidden. This YouTube channel is called Retain to Thrive, where we upload the best videos for men to cultivate their sexual energy purposefully. Join our Telegram channel using the link below.